Hi, folks. We're going to go ahead and get the meeting started. I want to thank everyone for attending today, both in person and virtually, to our RingCentral kickoff meeting. If you don't know me, I'm Bill Zumadakis. I'm the Chief Information Officer here at Salt Lake Community College. We're really excited about this project. I think it's really a great move for the institution. We talk about using cloud services all the time, and we look at those that make sense. And this one has made sense to us. As we centralize our services, our communications, we've moved to the cloud. You notice our emails in the cloud. We've moved Zoom, WebEx, all those are off premise. Any conferencing tool are in the cloud. So phones just made the next sense to move. There's just so much equipment involved to keep on premise, and the circuits that you have to keep separate. This runs over the internet. So it simplifies things for my staff, but I think it offers a lot more opportunity for you folks and gives us other capabilities. It just supports kind of our strategy as we're moving, and you see us moving closer and closer to Microsoft Teams as a central repository for voice now, chat, file sharing, email, project management, all those things. So this application runs inside of MS Teams. So now you'll have one application open. You can use it as a soft phone. You can have your handset, a headset. Just offers a whole lot more capabilities for you folks. So I know you have a lot of questions, and I've invited two folks from RingCentral today, Kevin Moynihan and Juan Rubio, that'll be presenting today. I'm just kind of going over a little bit of what RingCentral is, some of the capabilities. I think Juan's going to give us a demo on a couple things. And feel free to, if you have a question, if you come up to the mic and ask your question, if you're in person. If not, you can send it through the chat, and we'll respond to you throughout the presentation. But I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn the time over to Kevin and let him take us through RingCentral. And thanks again, everyone.
Thank you, Bill. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Kevin Moynihan. I'm the education specialist for RingCentral, and I apologize for not being there in person today. That was the plan, and I was looking forward to meeting everyone. My wife and my son both have COVID, and I thought it would be reckless and irresponsible of me to fly out there and see you. So I hope to see you on another opportunity. So I wanted to briefly give you an overview. Bill kind of highlighted some of the benefits and reasons why we're confident that RingCentral is going to be a great addition to your technology stack. So I'll just do a couple of minutes on kind of who RingCentral is, why RingCentral is a good fit, and then I'm going to hand it off to Juan Rubio. So as I mentioned, I'm the education specialist from the sales perspective. Juan Rubio is there in person, is going to take us through a demonstration, and he's a solutions engineer. And so Juan can go dive as deep into the weeds as you'd like if you want to talk about the applications and integrations and things like that. But as Bill mentioned, I certainly don't want you to be bashful. If there's any questions, please interrupt or put them in the chat, or go to the microphone and ask away. Can everyone see my screen? Yes. Perfect. So RingCentral is the #1 communications platform for business. Bill hit on part of it. It's because of our integrations. It's because of our ability to integrate with Teams or other business critical applications that you've got today. It's interesting because sometimes we compete with Teams. Other times we complement Teams, and we can sit in the background and deliver highly available and highly reliable telephony. And you can still leverage Teams for everything else, whether it's messaging or video, any of your other collaboration. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But RingCentral provides a truly unified communications experience. So we've got this notion of MVP, message, video, phone, and also fax, and that's available to every licensed user. So every licensed user is going to get a DID. Now, whether you publish that or not, that's up to you and the organization. But what's important there is that single number reach on any device, whether it's the phone on your desk or you're on the road and you're working from your laptop, or you want to leverage all that functionality from your Android or iOS, or maybe you just want to experience all this functionality via the web, browser-based, right? So we're going to give a unified experience across all those different options. And the beauty is, especially for the faculty, and I don't need to give out my personal number, my cell number anymore, right? I can just give the single number from Ring Central, and it's going to ring all the devices that I want it to ring. And just as importantly, it's going to ring them when I say it's appropriate to ring them. If I'm in a meeting, I don't want it to ring. If it's after hours, I don't want it to ring. And so you can set these parameters so that your phone isn't ringing with a work call at 1 in the morning. So in addition to the message, video, phone, and fax, we also have an integrated contact center. Now today, we didn't license any contact center agents because there's functionality that's sufficient out of the box. So we're able to queue calls, we're able to report on the queue, longest, average hold time, things like that. And the agents have the ability to log in and log out and have customized codes and responses. And that's all part of that single license. The industry analysts have great things to say about us, and we're grateful for that. Whether it's Gartner, who's famous for the Magic Quadrant, or Frost & Sullivan, Omnia, Aragon Research, on and on and on, all these analysts recognize us as the top choice in our space, and we're grateful for that. But what really drives everything we do is this experience for the customer. And we hope to add Salt Lake Community College to a long list of happy customers. That's our goal. We're going to support you through this process to make sure that we're adding an effective communications platform. Ultimately, we want you to smile, and really at the end of it, we'd love if Salt Lake Community College was so happy that they told others about it. If you talk about the pillars of our success, so first and foremost, security has to be stable, has to be compliant. There's all kinds of compliances that SLCC is responsible to meet and exceed. And your team, Bill and his team, did a great job vetting all the options out there. Suffice it to say, we do check all the boxes when it comes to security and compliance. We also talk about that leading reliability. We are, in this instance, a complement to your team's environment. We offer a higher SLA around uptime and availability than Teams does. We also offer a higher SLA around call quality. I'm not picking on Teams. Our SLAs around the reliability, uptime, and call quality are the highest in the industry against all of our competition. And they're financially backed. So we fully expect to give you 99.999% uptime and availability is the SLA. We're actually sneaking up on 6 nines of realized uptime and availability. We've got active data centers. So we're going to have an image of your data of your environment, and on a rainy day, if everything goes wrong, we've got a way to help you stay connected, for you to make and take calls, regardless of the challenge. And to Bill's point earlier, that's the advantage of going to the cloud. That's the advantage of partnering with someone like RingCentral, who has the highest standards when it comes to reliability, availability, and call quality. And then finally, we've got open APIs, but before we ever get to our open APIs, which we actually leveraged in your environment, we've got out-of-the-box integrations with coming up on 300 applications. So that list continues to grow. The one I'd point out here, the one that Bill already mentioned, is Microsoft Teams. So we've got tight integration that's going to allow you to have a superior call experience within your Teams environment, leveraging RingCentral. But it's not, technology isn't static, and we know that your environment will continue to evolve. And so it's important that with our open APIs, we're able to support SLCC as your tech stack evolves and grows. There's applications that will be in play that today we don't even know about, but with those open APIs, we're confident that we're going to be able to integrate those and continue to be a great productivity tool. I'll pause there and see if there's any questions. Bill, if there's anything you want me to hit on that I kind of brushed over, happy to do that. I just wanted to kick it over to Juan and give him as much time. So I'll pause and Juan, I'll kick it to you unless there's questions.
The first question is, how will Ring work for offices with front desk phones? We have offices that have multiple staff who rotate through the front desk. And the second question that's very similar, I have a multi-line phone and can answer calls to the VP's extension from my desk phone. How does this work with RingCentral? At this time, I can only see calls coming in to my extension on my computer.
So I guess the high level answer is yes, it's possible on the RingCentral platform, whether you're a physical desk phone user or an application, a soft phone user. You do have the ability to see presence for other users and have the ability to answer calls on their behalves. So that's really the short answer. It'll be up to the Slick team to actually provision those for you guys. And whenever you go live, according to Bill, you're looking to go live sometime in November. So we will make sure that all those features that you're accustomed to on your Cisco environment will be there on the RingCentral platform as well.
There's 3 more. And the next one is, are we going to go over how to log in and get connected? I couldn't find instructions on that anywhere.
Log in to get connected.
Central app, they'll have to use their user ID at SLCC. That's how they log in.
So you're using single sign-on, right? So you're going to use your same credentials that you normally use to access your network. It's going to be your email address. And then once you enter your email address, the system will prompt you to authenticate through your normal multi-factor authentication that you currently use. And you guys are Azure or?
Right. And we'll work with them as we come in the office. And we
yeah. If you guys heard Bill will come, or Bill's team, not Bill. Bill's team will assist you guys in deploying and configuring the system properly.
And then there's one more. If calls are made on the cloud platform, will this eliminate the long distance dialing that we presently have to enter?
Short answer is yes. So the RingCentral platform gives you the ability to do unlimited calling in North America, which includes Canada. Canada's in North America. So you can place long distance calls to Canada all day long and you will not be billed additional charges for those. Now, if you call London, that's a different story. But the administration team has control of who's going to be able to make international calls.
Do you want to keep on the Q&As?
Is there one more?
There's two more.
There's two more. Let's go ahead and answer those real quick and then we'll get started.
Okay. Can you elaborate more on Ring Central texting capabilities, please? Specifically, student outreach from multiple coordinators and peer mentors in the office. If a peer mentor or coordinator texts the students, can everyone in the department access those messages? Or are these messages solely in the individual's inbox?
So it is the latter, it's person-to-person text messaging, and only the individual that sent it will have visibility into it. You do have the ability to notify other individuals when you receive a text message, but it's only a notification, and that notification can be either via email or text, but you will not actually get the live text message. That's a great question. I will cover that a little bit more in detail right now when I show you the demonstration, but that's a good question.
The last one for right now. We have a few employees that are deaf and use a Sorensen video phone. Does Ring Central work well with video phones?
So okay, so okay, so it sounds like you're going to remain on the Cisco platform for that functionality there.
It's not Cisco, it's not Ring Central.
Oh, it's a different system. Okay, it's a sourced system. Okay, so that you're going to remain on your current system right now for that. But will they get access to Ring Central in that scenario?
Individually and as the department, yes, DRC will have their phones.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so thank you for that there, Kevin. You can stop your share. Again, my name is Juan Rubio. I'm a solutions engineer. I'm happy to be here. I was just telling Robin that I live in Northern California in the Bay Area, East Bay, and we have a lot of microclimates out there. I was just telling her it was 115 degrees on Monday, and I was expecting to come over here and get a little reprieve. Not so much. Right? So I hear you guys are having record 100-degree temperatures. You gotta love it. All right, so let's get started here. Let me share my desktop. So what you're seeing here is the Ring Central app. This, I'm showing it to you, it's web-based app. It could be an application installed on your PC or a Mac. It could also be an application, as Kevin and Bill both mentioned, an application on your mobile device, right? Whether it's iOS or Android. Let's show of hands of how many of you are on iOS or iPhone. Okay, and then Android. So a little bit more iPhone users. Okay, good. Prior to today, or when you were notified about this webinar, how many of you were familiar with Ring Central? Okay, more than I thought. You probably thought we were that doorbell company, right? We often get that quite a bit. So this is my test system right here. Yours may not look like this because the platform, as Kevin mentioned, it does do messaging. We realize you're already using Microsoft Teams for messaging, so that's going to probably be disabled for most of you. It also does support Ring Central Video. So we know you're already using Zoom, you like Zoom. Our video, Ring Central Video, comes with the license, and according to Bill, you will be allowed to use it. So if you want to use Ring Central Video for instant meetings, scheduled meetings, you will have the ability to leverage that. I'll show you where it's going to benefit. For instance, if you're on a phone call and you want to switch that call to a video call, you have to schedule a meeting or do something like that. I'll show you how easy and seamless it is to switch to a video call in a second. The other benefit is it allows you to host a 100 participant video meeting, right? So maybe you don't want to use Zoom today. The other benefit is the participants don't necessarily need to install an app. With Zoom, most of the time you do need to install an app. So with the Ring Central Video platform, especially for Android-based users, you do not need to install an app. On the computer, use a Chrome or Edge browser, and you'll be able to join the meeting, as well as Firefox. Safari is coming down the line, but nothing to install. Click a link, you'll be able to join the meeting quickly and easily. All these icons here, I don't have them labeled. You have the ability to choose them to label. You can readjust them or set them up as you want. I'm going to focus on phone calls and SMS and fax. Are you guys still doing fax? Yes. You now have the ability to send a fax from your mobile device. It's kind of cool. I don't know. I'm a nerd though, so how often are you going to send a fax from your mobile phone? Not too often, but from here, from the app itself, I just click on here, send an app, telephone number or contact. I have the ability to choose a cover page, or I can add a custom cover page if I wanted to, right? Something that has slick logo or whatever the case may be. I do have that capability. And then after I do that, I have the ability to enter notes, attach files for my fax, and then the ability to send it now or schedule it at a later time, right from the app. I could also do it via email. So if maybe I don't want to use the app, we do support eFax, the ability to send a fax via telephone number at rcfax.com. Any of the details you put in the subject and in the body of the message will be included in the cover page, and then whatever attachments you send. And then the ability to get notified when you get a fax, right? That fax can be in your email inbox and you don't necessarily need to view it here in the app. But in the app, it does give me the ability to see some faxes that I've sent, the ability to view them instantly, what this fax was about. I no longer need to print these out. I can save some trees, right? The ability for me to call this individual, download it, things like that. So it's simple and it's easy to use. But it's fax. Fax has been around for a very long time. I know we've been trying to get rid of it for a long time, but it just won't go away. People still use it, right? So we also do have the ability to use physical fax machines if you still want to use those. And if you still want to use a physical fax machine, get with your administration team. They will make that available for you. Hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn there, unless you're trying to get rid of them. All right. Next one is SMS. Yes.
What fax number do I use there? What's my fax number?
Your fax number is going to be your DID. So we like to refer to your DID, your own personal number, as a smart number because it supports not only voice, it supports fax and SMS. Right. So you no longer have to remember 3 different numbers for SMS, fax, and voice. It's just a single number each. You don't have to worry about it. You get all those features in there. Great question there. Any questions around fax? Go ahead.
Are extensions staying the same?
Corner of your team, yes, they're staying the same. Would you like it to change? No. I'll tell you, I'm an old guy. So when I first started in this business, it was all about knowing anybody's extension, right? You got to call Bill, he's at extension 500. You call Joe, he's at extension 200. Within the last probably 15 years or so, that's really changed because you have the ability to click the dial, search for a person's name. There's really no need to remember a person's extension these days, but it is visible for you when I show you how to search for an individual. You do have the ability to do that. It's a great question. Any others? What is eTree?
It's the system that moves for documentation. Different departments.
You can download it and save it and add it to your retreat.
That's how you would have to do it. That's the only way. It has to be documented. So the question is, will it automatically go on the E3?
Well, it kind of, right? If you get email notification, you get your fax in your inbox, you create a rule to automatically send it to eTree. No, don't go there. All right, disregard that. So download it manually and send it to eTree. There you go. There you go. All right. Let's go into SMS. As you can see here, this is a test system. I do have some SMS messages in here. So if the individual is a contact for you, they will show up with their name. If they're not a contact, then it'll just show the number, right? And for me to send I could reply to any of these. So if I wanted to reply to myself here, and I do that a lot, I'm always speaking to myself when I'm doing these demonstrations. So I could always respond to myself within an existing conversation. I do have the ability to include, emojis. And it's also MMS. So if I wanted to send a picture or something, it gives me the ability to do that. Just remember, for any attachments, it needs to be less than 1.5 meg. Okay. Anything over that, the carriers will reject it. Now, for me to initiate a new SMS messages, I can just do it right here from the application itself, hit the plus, and I'm texting. This is my DID right here. For me, I have different numbers that I can text from. Most of you can only text from one number unless you have a business reason why you need a different number. Let's say in a different area code. Maybe you're recruiting students from Colorado and you want a Denver area code and you want to text from that. That would be a good use case for that, so that you would need to check with your administration team. In this case, I can send a text to individuals right here, or telephone numbers, right? I can create a group text up to 10 individuals. So everybody gets that text, everybody can see it. And let's see, if I wanted to send one to Jim, to myself, to Barry, I think you get the idea. This group text here, it tells me I can send it as a group text up to 10 people. So that's the maximum that the platform will allow you to do it. If you need the ability to send a group text to more individuals, you will have to leverage the APIs that Kevin referenced. Are you guys familiar with what API is? We use a lot of acronyms. Sometimes we forget that not everybody is in this technology world like we are. API is application programming interface. It allows us to programmatically access content from RingCentral and other applications and bring them together seamlessly without having to do it manually. If I wanted to send a mass text, I can uncheck that. And now it gives me the ability to send a mass text up to 50 individuals. That will be separate though. They'll each receive it on one-to-one and they will not all see it. And it's text. You guys are all familiar with it. Pretty simple. Very beneficial to you. Maybe you're in admissions or collections and you're working from home or from local Starbucks or whatever the case may be. You can just add the app to your smartphone and send an SMS right from your smartphone without having to use your smartphone's DID. It will be your corporate DID. Any questions on SMS?
Well, can you talk about the pooling of texting, how that actually works, or for individuals, but there was something you distinguish for us?
Sure. I didn't want to get in too deep into the weeds, but I'll do it. All right. So each of you with the RingCentral license will have the ability to send and receive 100 SMS messages or MMS per month. All of those 100 SMS messages are pooled as a whole account for Slick. So for instance, you've got 10 users, each has the ability to send 100 SMS messages. Those are all pooled. So 100 times 10, that's the total number of messages that you'll be able to send. So 1,000 as an organization. When you run out of those pools, let's just say Sally, not a big text messenger. She only sends maybe one a month. Those other 99 can be used by the rest of the organization to send and receive messages. Once that allotment runs out, there are overage charges. You guys as end users, you don't really need to worry about that. That's more of Bill's team that needs to worry about overage charges. But just keep in mind that there is a limit. It used to be unlimited, but all the carriers got together and they figured out that they were losing money. So they started blocking a lot of the SMS messages that were being sent. So they came up with this notion of what they call a campaign registry, where any organization that wants to send SMS messages, you need to register your account with this campaign registry, note what type of messages you're sending, because there are still a lot of SMS messages that are illegal to send. Like if you're asking for money, can't do that. If you're a pharmaceutical company and you're selling drugs, those drugs could be any kind of drugs. It could be alcohol, it could be cannabis, it could be anything. Those are illegal. The other thing that's gonna stop your messages from being sent are gonna be the short URLs, the bit.lys and things like that. All the carriers are blocking all those. So what we're doing is we're educating you guys to make sure that your SMS messages are not rejected. And as long as you adhere to the rules, you'll be good. Any questions on SMS? Text?
So how does it count if you're sending out a group? Is that as many?
It's a great question. It'll be to as many individuals that the text is actually sent out to. Yeah.
I have three ones that are. The first question is the texting function set up to pull SLCC contacts only, or can it be used on outside contacts as well?
That's a great question. So you do within the application itself, you do have the ability to access your contacts from Outlook and have the ability to have your personal contacts in there. Same with your mobile devices, right? So you will have the ability to have your own personal contacts in there.
Great. The next question, will SMS be available to all, or do we need special permission for this?
All of them? Yes, to all of them.
Can we text to international numbers?
You can text international numbers. So great question. There will be international overcharges for those international numbers. If your team designates you to have the ability to test international, then you'll have that capability. Otherwise, it may be blocked.
Are we able to block staff from using SMS if our department chooses not to use it?
Yes. Yes. All right, we have a question here.
Just clarification on actual access to texting, or if that is not. Like that the director could choose not to.
Correct.
permit
Yeah,
that
we
to
can,
happen.
yeah, we can wait and make those changes, but initially from the global setting, texting will be that.
Are we gonna put guidelines in? Like, the question came in of like, is it with the numbers here in Slick, we should be messaging those people, not texting them to take away from our total texting numbers. So like, is there gonna be some sort of user guidelines to try to urge people to not use this resource of texting that we could be using externally for our students and retention?
I don't think people online for that.
I think that's more of a teacher.
It is more of an internal thing.
What we'll probably do is we'll make that available to FAQ.
Okay.
Yeah, we have an FAQ out there on our site that we'll talk about, but yeah, we'll put that in there. Ready that hopefully they're not texting between each other, they're using Teams.
Okay, so for you, for those that are remote, the question was, are there going to be any guidelines for SMS usage and when you should use it and when you shouldn't use it? And Bill stated that an FAQ will be published with those, with direction for you guys. One more SMS question.
If we use a different system for messaging, will it conflict with Ring Central? In admissions, we use Mowgli.
They use what, I'm sorry?
Mowgli.
Mowgli.
That's through Salesforce.
Okay, so they said that's through Salesforce and it will not conflict with Ring Central. Any other questions about SMS here?
There's some sort of call, like a call ID for like, no, I just call.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's table stakes for a phone system these days. Yeah, yeah. No, well, I'll show you some benefits that you have. If you receive a call without caller ID, you can block it. And you can state something to effect of, I'm sorry, the person has requested a caller ID. Please try your call again with caller ID, right? Which is a good use case for that. Okay.
Can you send it blind carbon copy to 9 of the 10 text messages?
Don't send it as a group text, right? Because there's no concept in SMS as a blind copy, right? But if you're sending a group text Everybody gets it. If you don't want everybody to see it, don't send it as a group text.
And then when a student text stopped, will it,
We needed that.
when a student text stopped, will it opt out of students and update banner?
So that's a great question. So this is more of person-to-person texting, and you're not really trying to sell them anything that they haven't opted in for. And if they tell you to stop, you're going to receive that stop. The system is not going to programmatically remove them. So it's up to you to make sure you don't send it again if they tell you to stop.
Another one. If you're out of the office for an extended period of time, can you set up an auto reply for your messages in case students try to get a hold of you?
No, not for SMS. For phone calls, yes, right, but not for SMS. That would require the API programming that I mentioned earlier. It can certainly be accomplished, but not through native RingCentral. There are third-party partners that can accomplish that for you, leveraging the API, of course, right? So you don't necessarily need to go in there and reinvent the wheel. We already have 6,000 plus developers that have already done some form of configuration for that. It's a great question. Is there any more? We're good?
There's a whole lot more questions, but they're not SMS.
Okay, well, we'll hold off on it for now. All right, so here's the dialer itself, right? So here's the phone. Really table stakes, the ability to see all your calls, your missed calls, call recordings if your calls are being recorded. We can do automatic call recording or ad hoc. Say, for instance, I'm on a phone call, my call's not being recorded. I have the ability to record it if I needed to later review it, or if things are going sideways, whatever the case may be. You do have that capability. For all these calls that I have right here, I do have the ability, maybe I want to add this individual as a contact. I can certainly do that. I can call them back. I can send an SMS message for them. I can delete it. Or maybe if it's like that second call you're seeing there, it's a suspected robocall, I can block that number from ever reaching me again. I'm sorry, this is the tax relief company, and we want to help you pay your IRS debt. Or maybe the warranty on your car has expired. You have a few days to renew it, things like that. Do you want those callers bothering you? I don't. This is a test system, so I never answer the call, so I can block them at any time. Question?
On the call recording, how long are those maintained by the system?
Great question. So the question is, call recording, how long are they maintained on the platform itself? The answer to that is 90 days or 100,000 recordings. And with that in mind, if I go into my call recordings here, if I have any, I do have the ability to go in here and download that to my computer if I wanted to. All right, any questions on your call history or call recordings? And I'll assume.
When a recording call is saved, can you also block this option to ensure staff aren't recording calls?
So ad hoc is available to everybody or disabled for the entire account. So it's a system-wide parameter. Automatic call recording will be determined, each extension will be determining whether their calls will be recorded from an inbound or outbound perspective. Are you guys doing automatic call recording? No automatic call recording for Slick. So you don't need to worry about that. But ad hoc, do you still have it enabled?
We don't.
Well, ad hoc call recording is enabled by default. You would have to disable it.
We've not disabled.
So maybe something that you need to,
And there is an audible warning when you start a call recording.
That's correct.
that the call is being recorded.
yeah. And we do that because some states are dual consent states where both sides of the conversation need to be informed that the call is being recorded. That gives you the ability to either hang up or tell them to stop recording it. All right. Anything else there? What about voicemail? You guys use voicemail? Yes. There was a statistic that said 80% of voicemail messages never get listened to. Wow. So you probably all have experienced when you call somebody on a different platform, I'm sorry, the person's mailbox is full. Please try your call again later. And you call them a month later, that voicemail box is still full, right? You're never going to get that on the RingCentral platform. You can have up to 200 messages. And let's just say you're not listening to those messages and you got 200 in your inbox. The next caller is going to basically be recorded as a new message. The oldest one will be deleted. It'll be a first in, first out type method or a FIFO method. We do support transcription, voicemail transcription. The ability for me to quickly click on the transcription there and see what they're calling me about, right? Hey, it's Curtis from the Department of Text and Debt. I know I don't need to listen to that message, right? I can look at that message on my web-based app, on my desktop app, or on my mobile app, as well as in my email inbox. I can get email or voicemail notification, which can include the voicemail transcription, as well as an MP3 file of the voicemail recording itself. All right, how many messages can you have on the RingCentral platform? 200. Great. Will you ever get that mailbox is full? No. And where can you access your messages? Any of the apps and your inbox. And then right here, obviously I could play it. I can call this individual. I can delete it. I can add them as a contact. Maybe they snuck in. I can now block that number as well, right? Or mark it as read or unread, whatever the case may be. Not from the voicemail message itself, but I could go back to the call history and text them from there.
Can you repeat what he said?
Yeah, so the question was, can you text an individual directly from your voicemail? So the answer is no, but I could also always do it from my call history. So if I find that call under somewhere in here, if I were to find that call, I have the ability to SMS them from right here. Great question.
Okay, I have two questions that are kind of. Will existing voicemails be forwarded to RingCentral? There's a message I really want to keep and hear over and over again.
Now,
LOL.
unfortunately not. You're gonna have to download it from your current system before you move off. Otherwise, it will be deleted at some point.
Okay. Can the voicemail transcription transcribe other languages or is it only English?
It's a great question. There are other languages that it can transcribe. Off the top of my head, it's Spanish, it's French Canadian, and there may be another one in there, or Australian and UK English, which is still English, but that's really it. There's not a lot. If you see a language that you would like, let us know. We could always add that as a feature request. You never know, it may be added. All right, let me just place a call. Show you some of the mid-call controls. And I'm going through my IVR menu on this one because so there you see, I'm calling myself. I have the ability to ignore this call. I can send it directly to voicemail. Maybe I don't want to talk to myself today. I can answer it. I also have this nice little feature where I can forward it to any dialable telephone number, or I can do a reply that states, I can make it custom, or I'll call you back in 5 minutes. Now I go back to my phone.
I will call you back in 5 minutes. To repeat the message.
So that's kind of cool, right? For me as a user, I'm busy. I do want to talk to this individual, but not just right now because I'm busy on this presentation or whatever the case may be. But I want to let them know that, hey, I received your call. I'm acknowledging that call. I'll call you back, or do a custom message. Then if I forget, that's a different story, right? Let me just answer this next call so you could see some of the capabilities as far as your mid-call controls. All right, here's the call. This time I'm just going to go ahead and answer it. I'm going to block that for now. Oops. It won't let me block it. It's not giving me the allow anymore. Oh, right here. Well, I blocked the access to the mic, and as you can see, it needs it. Right. Let's try that again. I should have allowed it from the get-go. My apologies for that. Let's try it again. Okay. All right. Browser settings. And I haven't been in here in a long time, so I need system. Privacy and security, maybe? Nope. Accessibility. Well, I need Chrome. Unless you have Edge already readily available on here. No. All right. So apologies for that. Wanted to show you the ability to go from a phone call, an active phone call, to a RingCentral video session. You can do that seamlessly without having to call anybody back. Basically, I could go directly to a RingCentral video session or a screen share. Maybe I want to consult about a document I'm working on, things like that. Question?
Record the video.
So RingCentral Video, you do have the ability to record that. Yes, just like Zoom, right? No different there. The only difference is that RingCentral Video will be recorded to the cloud, and it will be available there for 1 year. You don't have the option currently to copy it or download it onto your computer. Good question. In the back?
What's the ideal browser to run that on?
Well, that was a user error. So the ideal browser that we recommend is going to be Chrome, Edge, and has to be Chromium Edge, so version 79 or above. We just added Firefox as well as Safari sometime in the future for RingCentral Video, but the app itself will work on all of the browsers. Just RingCentral Video uses WebRTC technology, and some browsers require some programming to actually get them to work. So that's why Safari hasn't been added.
You can try privacy and security.
Privacy and security? I did, I thought. Up top. I didn't try that one. Site settings? Or maybe security? You saw it? What can I do?
That's my app.
All right, we tried.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You guys are good. You guys ever do conference calling on your phones? Yes. The app itself will allow you to conference up to 10 individuals, right? So you and 9 other parties. If you need more than that and you don't want to host a Zoom or a RingCentral video meeting, each one of your licenses comes with a 1,000 person audio conference bridge only, right? And each user will have their own host access and their own participant access. And so you can easily start this conference right from the app or from the mobile app, and you can invite via SMS or via email. That message is RingCentral messaging, which will not be available to you guys, but just know that if you need to host an audio only bridge, no video, just audio, you have the ability to host a 1,000 person audio bridge conference call. All right. So earlier it was mentioned about the ability to have a receptionist phone. This right here, we call it HUD or heads up display, was really designed as an operator console, but everybody liked it so much that we made it accessible to everybody, right? So this gives me the ability to see presence information. If anybody's on the phone, I can see that presence information. If somebody receives a call and I am granted the permission to answer on their behalf, I can answer that call. And then it'll either pop up, it's configurable, or I'll just see an audible tone there of who's ringing. And then I can easily see whether it's for me or for a different individual. So it's a nice use case for this. And we can monitor up to 100 extensions, which is usually more than enough for most individuals. But if it's not, let's just say you're an operator or a receptionist that requires more, let us know and we can get that increased. But 100 is the max by default. From right here, it also gives me the ability to call, SMS these individuals. And if I were on an active call, it allows me to transfer calls to them a little bit easier without having to search for an individual. We support a blind transfer where I'm just sending that call directly to the individual. We support a consultative or an attended type transfer where, hey, this is Juan. Bill, I've got Robin on the call for you. Do you want to speak to her, right? Things like that, that's attended. Or maybe the individual's out of the office on vacation or whatever the case may be, I can transfer that call directly to that user's mailbox. Again, just standard features that you would expect from a phone system. What else? Call monitoring. Any of you guys supervisors or do you require the ability to listen in on your direct reports calls? Like silent monitor, coach, things like that? Great for training purposes. That's correct. We can certainly do that, and we would leverage heads up display in order to do that. As long as you have the right permission, you could go in there and listen in on the conversation. It would be silent. You could also coach too. So maybe the conversation is starting to go awry and you want to try to limit that. You can actually coach the individual, the internal individual, say this, say that, whatever the case may be. Or if you want to completely take over that call, you can barge it in, conference yourself into that conversation, and then take over, and the internal individual goes back on hook. That's called call monitoring. Let us know if you need that capability. It can be enabled. All right. How much time do we have? 4 minutes. So
Is there a way, does it show on the display? Let's say I need to answer the phone for someone in my department that they're working with. Can I see if they're not available to answer the call? How will I know if I?
So this presence is whether they're offline or online with their RingCentral app. So all these users are all offline right now from the RingCentral app perspective. But if I call one of those individuals, notice that, well, it didn't show up properly, but I don't have all the options that I had before. This call is for Jim, but notice how I have the ability to pick this up. Even though Jim's offline, maybe he's on vacation, I can still answer that call on his behalf if I had set the proper permissions on the browser, but I think you get the idea. Does that help? We also support what we call delegation. So I'm Bill's admin and I want to make calls on Bill's behalf. We can do that. So that's delegates support, right? So I'll go here. Let's say that one of these was Bill. It'll give me the ability to do call on behalf of. And if I bring up the dollar as well, from an outbound caller ID perspective, if it's not limited, you can choose your own DID as an outbound caller ID, or you can choose any company number that's associated with your site. Okay. The administrators, if they don't want you to do that and they want to lock it down, they will lock that down to either your DID or the main company number, right? If I was a delegate of Bill, it would show Bill's here and I'd have the ability to make an outbound call using Bill's DID and not my own. And so that's called delegation. We support that as well.
Can we just do the
Yeah,
Q&A?
let's do questions.
Okay. Teams is buggy and power hungry on a Mac. Do we need to use Teams for chat and calls going forward?
Yes, I think you've guys been mandated to use Microsoft Teams for chat and meetings as well.
How will the cloud handle the volume of calls?
So on a typical on-prem system, volume of calls is controlled by your trunks, your lines to the telephone company. And that can be as little as one line up to thousands of lines, right? Once you get to the maximum, callers are going to get busy. In the cloud, you don't need to worry about that. We have unlimited trunks available to you. You're never going to get a busy signal on the RingCentral platform. If you get a busy signal, it's not RingCentral. It's going to be some underlying carrier that's already been maxed out. In fact, when the pandemic first hit in March of 2020, can you believe that's over 2 years now? There were a lot of carriers that didn't have sufficient trunk capacity and were experiencing busy signals because of that overwhelming number of phone calls. Good question.
I make calls internationally for my work. Who will I contact to get permission to continue to do this?
So the team has already reviewed who needs what permissions to do what. And if you currently have that permission, you will continue to have that permission.
When does this go live?
Yeah, it depends on your department, right? But some are moving over this month, some next month, some in November. Yeah. And we hope to be done by November. So everybody should be live by November.
Are we being encouraged to use our personal phones for this app? If yes, is SLCC paying for individual cell phones?
Okay. So the answer is SLCC will not pay for your personal cell phone. It's up to you if you want to use it. In fact, this is my personal cell phone and I have the app on it just because it makes my life so much easier, right? Will RingCentral pay for it? For me, yes, because I'm in sales, but most organizations do not pay for a personal use for a mobile device. But users like the app and the convenience of it. So you're no longer necessarily tied down to a desk. You do have the ability to leverage your smartphone. And again, SLCC will not pay for it.
Okay. Will we retain our current phone numbers or be signed a new phone number?
So the majority of you will all have the same phone number. It will be ported over to RingCentral, be the same DID. If you don't currently have a DID, you will get a new DID.
If you do not use a company cell phone, but a personal cell phone, can your cell number be available for people on your team, but not to the whole institution?
Yes, that's up to you how you want to list it. So when you create a profile on the RingCentral platform, there is an option in there to define your mobile number. If you choose to share it, just put your mobile number in there and people will have it. So when I come in here and I search for a user, notice all those numbers that are prompted for me as an end user. One of those could be my cell phone number if I defined it as such.
This is about faxing. Will attachments need to be converted to a special format, or does it support PDF, JPEGs, etc.?
It supports all those.
Is RingCentral using the device's internet connection, Wi-Fi or Ethernet for all its abilities? What happens when there's a disruption or issue with the device's internet connection?
That's a great question. So access to the RingCentral cloud is via internet primarily. If your internet connection goes down, you have no phone service. But maybe you have a smartphone with the app running on there. How often have you had your cell phone not have internet access? Pretty rare, right? So you'll still have access to your phone calls if you want. And from a physical phone perspective, by the way, this is one of the physical phones that will be available to you guys. This is a VVX, was it 250? There's also a VVX 450. If I'm a physical phone user, let's just say the backhoe just cut the internet goes down. How am I going to receive calls if I'm not using the mobile app? We give you an option to define a telephone number to reach you in case the platform loses connectivity to that phone. So you can always put in your landline number. Next question.
How will answering calls work if two people have the same extension?
Well, two people cannot have the same extension. Each extension needs to be unique to each individual. I didn't think Cisco allowed that. Do they allow that? Oh, shared line. Oh, shared lines are possible on the RingCentral platform. We have different variants of shared lines. Just talk with your administration team and we'll make sure it gets configured appropriately.
What needs to be done for each office to be able to be switched over?
I'm looking at
A lot of work.
yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of planning going on. The different departments are moving in phases. So a lot of thought has been put into this. So when it's your turn, you will be notified how soon in advance?
Message on the porting date, then we'll send out an email.
Okay, so we'll get a message on the porting day. Usually porting takes roughly about 30 days. So once it's ordered and agreed upon that porting will happen on this day, you will be notified.
I think it means what does the office need to do itself?
I think we'll tell, I mean, we just need answers. We're going to show up the day of the porting, our staff, and we will walk them through how to get the phone connected to Central and show them how that will work.
They have to be on campus, so they would remote, they should remote that day.
That would be helpful if they have a physical phone. If not,
Bill, can you?
we can.
I think the way that, and we haven't talked about this yet, but I think, and I want to be respectful. I know we're over our time already. So the phases are going to happen, like I said, and we're going to start on the north. So West Point will be our first phase. We'll let those folks know. We will show up that morning and we'll have, I mean, a lot of IT people there to place phones, show you how to get RingCentral, use it in Teams, get you logged in for the first time. It would be helpful if you're there, but if not, we'll work with you over the phone if we have to. And we know that the day we come, we're hoping to hit a majority, but we'll be coming back. And we have techs on each site. So when you're there, we'll have our tech come back if it's a lab aid or desktop. But that's really our phases are going to start on the north. And it's not as easy as it sounds. To get our numbers back from our other carrier, it does take some time. They don't give them up as easy as you think, especially 1700 numbers. So we'll work with you, but you'll receive that. But I would encourage you, we've sent out emails with our training site, and it's really dedicated to just RingCentral. A lot of videos, you guys, a lot of FAQs that are going to answer all these questions for you. We do have training as well. If you want your department trained, I would work with our departmental trainers. They will come and they will work with you on RingCentral. but our staff will work with you. We're going to ask you questions on shared lines when you get the email. It would be helpful if you'll reply back saying we do have these shared lines. This is the shared line, and Troy and his team will then work with you on getting those set up, because that's a whole setup configuration for us, just like it was through Cisco. It's going to be the same to a different provider.
Will you leave phones at West Point for cash sharing? They're using Finesse and will still need landline until call centers are prepared to move over. I'm assuming they're talking about call queues.
And I'm not sure what there are. We'll have to deal with the cashiering at the bursar's office on that and see what queuing. I know that we have some, but I'm not familiar. Are you, Troy, on that one?
We're doing call centers last.
We're aware of queues, we're aware of call centers.
Are we gonna hit them at the same time? Is that your plan, Troy? When we're at West Point, are you gonna come back and do them at the,
Call centers are probably going to be towards the end.
okay. And we'll probably do the help desk fairly soon, just so we know what that kind of looks like for Gus and his folks, and then we'll have a better idea. Yeah. Any other questions, folks?
Yeah, sometimes we, like, before the semester starts, we want to call a bunch of our students. If we have, would all of our part-time staff be able to get the app and like call, like with their individual numbers, like our student staff?
Part-time staffers being that they have numbers now.
No, so that's what.
They're unshared
And so is it something like, you know?
on the soft phone. Can they?
You could set them up, but with no licenses. But once they make more than 9 calls externally, they'll be charged at a full license. So it's possible for unlicensed users, but probably better off SMSing them, right?
Got it. And then if you, will supervisors also have access to like phone activity for people there that?
What do you mean phone activity?
And so let's say that somebody's getting complaints about, hey, I'm calling this and nobody's answering. And so a supervisor wants to check their activity.
What reporting is available? Do you guys know?
The platform supports it. Whether your team wants to allow it, that's a different story. But the platform supports it. It'll give you access to their call logs, to their history, any
Okay.
call recordings, and their settings as well, right? Anything else? All right.
Okay, well, thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time today, and we look forward to working with each one of you. You'll get a note from us or an email soon, hopefully. Thank you. Thanks, Warren.
Thank you.